my mom, she's had tattoos most of my life, but she's gotten the bulk of her tattoos in her 60s and 70s.
Wow.
She's got a full sleeve on her left
Really?
side, a half sleeve on her right side.
She's Joe Koy.
She's Joe Koy.
It's breaking bread. We'd like to thank the good people at Wild Grain for sponsoring today's program. I love Wild Grain. As you know, as a bread baker, I've always thought of how do I get my bread to people through the mail. And as I was sitting on my couch thinking about it, Wild Grain was doing it. Wild Grain is the first ever bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries. And they're good. For a limited time, you can get $30 off the first box plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/papa to start your subscription. You heard me. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/papa. That's wildgrain.com/papa, or you can just use the promo code PAPA, P-A-P-A, at checkout. I know. When I saw there was a chance to talk to you, I was like, there was a time when we were seeing each other every second.
Yeah, well, I didn't retire so much as I just kind of like faded into the hedge, like
the hedge of network success,
like Homer, like Homer Simpson, just faded into the lazy, soft success of network television.
Yeah,
and I feel like I saw Joe Koy yesterday, actually.
Oh, wow.
Same thing. I was like, is it been 15 years since I saw you in person?
Yeah. But it's such a strange thing because obviously everyone's doing stuff.
Yeah.
But someone can leave your orbit for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know they're working, but you just haven't crossed paths.
This is the weirdest job in that you can feel as if you have been interacting with someone on an ongoing basis and not actually have seen them in person for a decade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
literally 10 years.
Like we were in corporate America. Like you and I would not have seen each other since like 2017, and we'd be like, that guy died.
Yeah.
But you just feel super connected to people because you're not seeing them. You're seeing them do well, which is great. It's a great feeling.
Where'd you see Joe Koy?
Joe has a new special out, and so we ended up like literally on the same media circuit. Like, so it was actually really funny. So he was backstage at the Today Show, and then we actually ended up on, when is this going to post?
This?
Yeah.
This will post soon, I guess.
Well, whatever. I'll just say.
A couple weeks.
He and I did the Kelly Clarkson. Okay, perfect. So it'll be after that one. So the Kelly Clarkson show together, and it was great. And it was
cool.
It was nice to sit on a couch which it felt very Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I got to sit on a couch with another comedian.
Wow, nice.
Which never happens anymore.
Yeah.
Ever.
I know. It really.
We literally did the thing where I did my segment and then I moved down and he sat down and I was like, geez, this is rad. Like, this never happens.
I know.
So, yeah.
Everyone got so uptight about like planning it and the pre-interviews and the thing.
Everything, no dynamism. We have to make sure this is a hot 5 minutes. And then also, God bless television producers. God bless you all. I've worked with many of you. But they're so rigid and a lot of them they have no comedy background. They're controlling for celebrity success, right? This celebrity and there are 3 stories about making yogurt at home or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And so there's no like that thing where like no one's like, let's see what's gonna happen.
I know.
They're terrified it's gonna go off the rails.
I know. I think that's why podcasts have become so popular.
Yeah.
Because you just come in and it breathes and you get to like really spend some time. I know. It's really
when you were a baby comedian, because we don't do this anymore either. Did you do a lot of radio?
Yeah, like when I was on the road and stuff. Oh yeah.
I used to
for sure.
Like, I mean, we all complained about it, but I used to doing radio so much. Even that was me. I'd be hungover and tired.
Yeah.
But just the magic of like what's going to happen for the next whatever 20 minutes, an hour. Like
I
that
know.
Feeling of like almost like a version of crowd work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
You were just going to get in there and like you weren't going to do your material, or maybe you did like one bit, but you were just going to try to.
Once you got good at it, like in the beginning, it was like you're so painful. You're like
sweating,
and it really you acted like you were cooler than it. Like they want me to do material, but you're like, I just don't know what I'm doing yet.
I'm staring into the eyes of a guy I hopefully I'll never see again, and he's demanding that I do 3 minutes of my act. Yeah.
I brought you a Cinnabon. If we were in LA, I would have made you bread. I would have baked you bread. That's where this whole podcast.
This is like some kind of New York.
That's a gourmet
like, sandwich with you call these things.
It's called diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes. That's it. I smell it. I can smell it invading my body. GLP-4. Hopefully, there's no Zempic shot underneath this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it'll wreck your day. But
Okay,
I was looking at the case, I stopped at Vesuvio Bakery on my way. And normally the reason it's breaking bread is I'm obsessed about baking bread. I bake a lot of bread.
I want to quit. I know this is your show, but it's mine now.
Yes.
Tell me about this bread obsession. Did this happen during COVID?
No. Oh. There was a lot of Johnny-come-latelys with COVID.
A lot of hacks.
I saw the beloved Jake Gyllenhaal on Colbert talking about his new bread passion.
Whatever, Jake.
I'm like, as soon as there's a vaccine, you're never gonna make another loaf. And I don't know, maybe he has, but I doubt it. But anyway, it was kind of like,
you can't get that body eating bread.
No way. When you're into a band, when you were young, when you're into a band, and then all of a sudden everyone's into the band, like 5 years later, and you're like, I was there in the beginning.
Resentment.
That's me with bread. And I just got into it, and I learned how to do it, from a sourdough starter, and I just got obsessed, and I have not stopped. It's really become a thing.
It is the most delicious bread. I mean, not to be a dirty old hippie, but I'm old, so I can be that way now. There's
You look exactly the same, by the way. Honestly, truly.
Adrenochroming. I don't know if you tried it. It's great. Drinking baby juice. It works out. It just really keeps you young. I mean, I swear I sound like some kind of hippie greeting card, but there's something really primal about sourdough, right? It just tastes
100%.
ancient, and it's like irresistible. Like Bread Schmed, you have a piece of sourdough, you cannot stop eating it.
It's the first bread.
Yeah.
It was the first time that they discovered yeast. Mm-hmm. It was like this sourdough starter, and there's the first time that yeast that was just floating around us found itself in flour and water and started to bubble, and they were like, what is this?
Literally, just the words you're saying are soothing me into some kind of vestigial sleep. I'm like the primal bread, the organisms. We're part of this larger whole. That's
it's really true. It's really true. And it breaks down its own sugars.
Oh wow!
So it's constantly still fermenting and still breaking down its sugars. So when you eat it, it's actually better for you than.
I'm gonna start baking bread immediately, man.
It's really. I can get you started when we're in LA.
Yeah,
God.
I'm kind of a little excited about it now.
But in the meantime, I give you from Vesuvio Bakery this dense.
It's murder. This murder
bun.
Murder bun. I'm gonna take a picture of it and post it because it's a murder bun. Here's the other thing I'll say.
Yeah.
I wonder if this happens to you when you're in New York. I'm a West Coast person. I was born out there.
Yeah.
I started doing stand-up in San Francisco, moved to LA. I've always lived on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But every time I come here, first of all, I'm like, I should fucking move to New York.
I know.
Every time I come here, just like a hack. Man,
I know. I'm the same way.
And I can't afford to live here. No one can afford to live here.
I know.
And then I just pulled the most hardcore tourist, I took a walk in the park, I had an espresso, I went to Vesuvio Bakery, I did the High Line. I'm just the most.
I know. My biggest thing is trying not to eat. I have to film a thing, so I'm trying to be good this week, and it is the hardest thing in New York. It's
impossible.
I'm just passing every place. There's this pizza place, and they have a little statue out front on my way back to my hotel, and he's just like a chef.
He's waving at you.
His gut is hanging over his belly. And I'm like, I want to be you.
Of pizza future.
Yeah, I want to be you. It's so hard to walk by.
You're lured by this thing. You're no, this is exactly the look for me.
And when you're in LA, you see all these people in shape, and you're like, I should be that.
Pizza's evil.
And then,
I feel the same way when I'm here. If you substitute pizza for copious amounts of alcohol, because this is the place with the best bars. I always want to go to all these cool bars.
I know.
And my publicist and I were just talking on the way here. We're like, I'm not drinking again today. And by noon I'll have broken that.
I know. It's so hard.
I love it.
The plane starts descending,
salivating.
And I start just seeing martinis in my head.
Yes, just Pavlovian. I'm just literally I'm Sinatra. I'm gonna just have a martini.
I know.
And there's so many great bars here, and there's something. And now this is very ephemeral. This is as ephemeral as the conversation about yeast and organisms and people, which is New York in the spring and summer.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, it's ineffable. You're just like, I gotta go sit on the sidewalk and just start drinking.
I know.
And like making fun of people and petting dogs.
But how do you handle the rest of your? Okay, so you do that. Say like at 2. Do you go in and nap, or do you just continue to the night?
Well, in my defense, I think I'm a judicious drinker. Like, I'm not going to knock like 10 beers. I'm very much like a pinkies out kind of drinker, right? And it's very much, I'm like, oh, this is on the 50 best bars list. So I'm a little bit of that kind of a person.
Yeah.
But I'll try to pace myself. Also, like we all learned in college, I lay a base.
Right.
You got to get a base in there. You get some nice, like a steak.
A steak for lunch.
Just a porterhouse steak for lunch. Nothing else. Eaten with both hands. And then I also am fully in the early bird sleep era. So like I eat early now.
Right.
I love a 5:30. I like to eat dinner when the sun is going down. Get happy hour specials and then go to bed early. So I naturally good night myself before it can really get ugly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was always like, how do these people do it? Like if I go back and then nap and I'm not getting up again
you're not getting back
and
up
going
and
back out into the world. There's no way.
I have very much embraced.
Yeah.
Like where I am, age-wise, I'm obsessed with sleep. I listen to all those horrible optimization podcasts about maximizing and optimizing and supplementing, and so now I'm just obsessed with 8 hours of quality sleep every day. So
do you have a sleep tip that works for you? So many. There was a 5-part, I think.
Oh, 6 on Huberman?
Yeah.
6-part. Oh, yeah.
6-part just on sleep.
Just on sleep. And each episode is 2.5 hours long. So just listen to those if you actually want to go to sleep. You can just fall asleep.
It's your sleep app. Did you listen to those?
I do. I've listened to all of them. I'm like a 55-year-old white guy. I love optimization podcasts, man. I'm a massive Huberman fan.
You're gonna start cold plunging.
Do I have a cold plunge at home? Come at me, bro. I do. I have a cold plunge.
You do for real?
I cold plunge every day. Yeah,
no.
Totally. Yeah.
You
absolutely.
do?
I do.
All right. I have so many questions.
I'm so into it.
You have a sauna too?
I have a steam.
Steam.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been measuring a corner of my living room for so
You have?
I have. I think I have a place I can put it.
I'm thinking about the sauna outdoors. My wife really loves it. And
They're good for you.
But they're supposed to be great.
They're great.
The cold plunge, I can't see making the investment because
cold plunge is a drug, man. You feel so great afterwards.
You do?
Yeah, you do.
When do you do it? You wake up and go right?
So if I wish I was UFC guy and I would leap in there at 6 a.m. That's in my head every night. I'm like, I'm gonna get up at 6 and cold plunge. I have to sneak up on it every day. It's 11:15. I finally, then I sit there for a while looking at it, talking to myself, considering all my poor choices in life. Every day it is such a battle to get into that thing.
Yeah.
But you feel like $1 million coming out because your body just makes, honestly, all these drugs. Your body, you get in that cold thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm not a scientist, everybody. And it's clear when you hear me speak for the next 3 minutes, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But your body makes these cold shock proteins and you make dopamine and you make serotonin. And I guess the process of then your body heating itself back up brings all this blood to the surface. It improves your circulation. It improves your brain health. It does all this great stuff for you. And you and I make a living in the same way. And the thing I care most about is not becoming stupid.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's my number one fear. It's not getting wrinkly. It's not getting fat.
Yeah.
It's getting stupid.
Stupid.
And so cold plunging is everything I do is about trying to hold on to my cognitive health. You know what I mean? Not getting dementia. That's my number one. Everybody's got their fear.
Yeah.
Dementia is my number one fear.
Do you have it in the family?
I don't have it in the family.
That's good.
I don't have it in my genetic family, but I have people very close to me that have dementia. I have friends whose parents have had really extreme dementia, and there's genetic predisposition, but there's also environmental and lifestyle factors. And we make a living with our brains.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's
100%.
So
I want to smoke weed so bad.
Oh my God, dope is so good.
I smell it. I see it. I used to do it.
You're Bugs Bunny in that thing where you're floating on the
Yeah, I'm just like, you walk around and it's everywhere now, and you're just like, But I don't want to become dumber. I don't need anything.
Yeah.
I don't need a fogger.
I don't need help.
Crop dusting my brain. I don't need anything that's going to speed up this process.
Right? I do. So the cold plunge is very good for your brain. It's good for your fitness. It's good for inflammation.
How long do you go in it?
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
That's a long
You don't
time.
have to do that long. You could do 2 or 3. an apple polisher. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just a kid who likes to get an A+. So, you know, and I'm like,
when
nobody's watching. Why the fuck do I care? But I do 6 minutes.
And is it like, how hard is it to stand 6 minutes?
I wish that it got easier.
Yeah.
It's hard every day, but apparently that's a part of the benefit. Like there's something about your brain. Dr. Huberman said, there's this part of your brain, it's like the amygdala or something anyway, where when you do tough things, you improve kind of like your mental tenacity.
Yeah.
And like this part of your brain gets bigger. So it's good that it hasn't gotten easier because like a part of the benefit is doing something tough every day. Helps with, not just with like, kind of like the way you look at the world, but like actually how your brain functions.
Okay.
So I have a whole plan for myself. I put on a song, and it's 6 minutes long.
Okay.
And that's easy, right? So it's
that's
no
smart.
timer, and then I listen to the song when the song's over, I get out. And because I know the song, I know exactly how much time I have.
Right.
The song I like, and then I get out, and then you
and
feel.
Are you the whole time, or are you just kind of
full
zen?
on do meditate. Oh God, what a dirty old hippie.
Yeah.
I just do breathing. And because I can't bring myself to meditate, because you know. Listen to me. My RPMs are too high to meditate.
Be the busiest meditation of all time.
It's like it's too high on the vibratory scale.
Just a movie trailer on
exactly
2 times
sped up
speed.
2x speed. Yeah, totally. So I'm like, okay, while I'm cold plunging, I'll just do breath work. So and it's very basic. I'm very basic. I just breathe like I just do military box breathing, right?
And how long does that last? The buzz of. Is it like an all-day thing? Really? Your day, if you don't do it, as opposed to doing it, you know a difference.
I'm fine. I mean, I'm obviously, again, filled with adrenaline. But when I do it, it just does so much. First of all, we're in this age conversation. So, you know, like I was an athlete when I was young, and then for your stand-up, all you do is stand. My knees are jacked.
Right.
And, you know, my knees are just like barely functioning, holding on by like literally like a one string.
Yeah.
And so just cold plunge, you just like completely turn that around.
Oh, it helps with inflammation?
Everything, complete. And like cold body inflammation, right? Like it
really
brings your inflammation way down.
Wow.
So it's great. I like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, is this arthritis? And then I go in the thing and it's gone.
Wow.
So it's pretty groovy.
I've been doing wall sits. They told me that wall sits are supposed to be great for your blood pressure.
Yeah.
So I've been doing wall sits, and it's a similar thing where it doesn't really get that much easier.
No, never. You're never like, let me just crank these out. Every time you're like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
You're just trembling the whole time.
I'm like, is this helping me or am I breaking something? Yeah, totally.
Wow. That is, the cold plunge thing.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't, it's like this. I can recommend it, but I can't recommend it because like, it's very good for you. It's really good for me, but it's not fun.
No.
I went to Iceland at Christmas time.
Wow.
And one cool thing about cold plunging is that it makes you much more tolerant of cold. Like your body actually starts to regulate its temperature way better.
Real?
So you're just like, I used to be one of those people who's always cold and I can jam around without a jacket.
California kid.
Yeah, baby a weakling.
Yeah.
A West Coast frail baby. And now I can just jam around without a jacket.
Really?
That was like one like noticeable benefit of cold plunging.
How long you been doing it?
Like a couple of years.
Really? A couple years?
Yeah.
You're a pioneer.
I'm a dirtbag. I went to Iceland, and then when I was in Iceland, and it was like between Christmas and New Year's, I went in the ocean, in the frozen, icy ocean in Iceland.
What?
And that was I would have never even looked at the ocean.
Yeah.
And I like went in it and was like ice in the ocean, and it was
no.
I was like, man, look at me go.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
do you feel like it translates to mental strength?
Yes.
Across the board?
Yeah, and it's I know people are gonna poo-poo this, and that's fine. I deserve it, but I do feel like a part of that meditation when you're in there can be like, if it's the first thing you do, it's the hardest thing you're gonna do today. It kind of prepares you for whatever is gonna come, and it's like about calmness within discomfort, right?
Right.
So I'm really, really uncomfortable now, and rather than being like, just sit in the discomfort for 6 minutes, realize it's just a sensation, it's going to pass.
Yeah.
And then it helps you for the rest of the day just be more even in your reactions. Like things don't freak you out as much.
Yeah.
People come up to you and you're like, well, that guy's an asshole. But then you just let it float by versus the old me, which would just be like having a conversation in my head with that guy for the next 7 hours. And I would have said this and I would have said that.
Isn't it amazing that all of this stuff is trying to get there.
Yeah.
Like meditation, religion, cold plunging,
just
running,
trying to just
it all all weed it all is about getting into a space where you're not just reactive constantly. It's a very interesting thing.
And then there's like a biochemical reason for all of this, I think, that's important, which is just about, well, two things. There's like the emotional one, which is like not letting other people control your interior tempo, right? Like not letting things in your life fuck you up internally. Which is, I think, the fight every human being is working on. Like, things are going to come at you that you can't control. All you can control is your reaction, and that's really hard for most of us to do. We're emotional. We're just little animals. But then, stress fucks your body up.
Right.
So the more because it releases all these chemicals and messes up your metabolism and the way your cells function. So if you can control your stress levels, the way you react to incoming stress factors, you're just gonna be a healthier person. And then happier.
No, 100%. Yeah, it really, and you can, when you do whatever thing you do, and you get to that place, and it lasts.
Oh man,
it really just changed your life.
It does. It does.
I
love it. It just sounds like you. I love it. In my head, I'm like, man, Tom Papa, he's reached enlightenment. Is he going to tell us how he did it?
No, but it is like, and it is an interesting thing too, that this is like a common conversation. Like this is, 30, 40 years ago, and I mean, the people weren't talking about how to kind of improve your life this way. That there is like a whole movement of like very smart people trying to figure that stuff out is pretty. Amazing.
This is so esoteric. I don't know what your hopes and dreams were for this podcast, but we have really gone down the rabbit hole.
We're in the sweet spot. We're in the sweet spot.
Okay, let's go hard. So there's this show that came out on Netflix. It's based on a book called The Three Body Problem. Really esoteric. Not for everybody, but really interesting.
Yeah.
And one of the and in the premise of the show, and no spoilers here, is that there's aliens are coming to Earth and they're communicating with people through video games. It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
But one of the aliens, this is not a spoiler, guys, but one of the aliens says, but if you care about this shit, fuck off for 2 minutes. One of the aliens says essentially like, how long did it take human beings to walk upright? And it's and for, like hominid evolution, it's, I think, well, let's say like just for humans, it's like 300,000 years. But I think the hominid range is more like a couple million. But let's just say 300,000 years.
Okay.
And then how long did it take us to like develop tools? And it's like 100 years. And then how long did it take us to develop technology? And it's like 50 years. And how long did it take us to like go from like first technology to like quantum computing? And it's like 20 years. The point being, like, we're accelerating in our ability to learn, and in what we're able to take in, and that's both why and representative of the fact that like we're just now finally trying to figure out how to like engineer our insides, right? We've been so focused outwards, and now we're kind of trying to figure out how to like engineer the human machine.
But is that technology that's just improving that at that rate? Like we're going from
our brains. It's our evolution, our kind of
we are evolving
perception. I think so,
because when you. I always had this. My history problem was that I always looked at people from long ago as something primitive, even though we were doing. And you realize when you start like reading that
you start learning stuff.
when you pay attention, they had all exactly the same stresses, anxieties, wants, longings. All of it is exactly the same, and emotionally, we haven't really progressed that much. So are you saying like we're at an inflection point where we actually will evolve that way?
I think that we're at the sort of, I think people have always been introspective. And I think you're right. I think when you look back, you can see that there was a lot of really reflective people. But I think technology has put us in a position where we've got more time, more bandwidth to look inwards, right? Because we're not like digging holes and planting turnips.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
The animals at the door.
Exactly. Or dying at 53 of the gout or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like,
just the fact that technology's lengthened the amount of time we're on the planet individually. And given us more leisure time has given the human animal the opportunity to be more introspective,
right? And
not just figuring out like what the best diet is, but what the optimal way to be human is.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't think we figured it out because we're still fucking assholes.
Totally. And there's not, and as much as there's this great conversation of trying to discover and progress, it's a small portion of the world that's,
yes.
I mean,
we are
cold
at the
plunging.
tip of a
You know what I mean?
Oh God, it's when you say it like that, it's embarrassing.
Well, no, I mean, you know,
it's the luxury.
Exactly.
It's absolutely a luxury to be out here talking about like cold plunging and free
and
range,
improving
whatever
and,
free range water.
Yeah, but you know, but there's also that does kind of, you know, trickle down, a horrible term, but you know, at a certain point, you know, then the masses start to do similar things, you know, even just exercise, just all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I think that maybe there's a way for, oh God, this is so like kind of Western centric, but there is a way for the parts of the world that have more resources to do what they should to help parts of the world that have fewer resources leap over the part of the timeline where they had to struggle to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, something like you know, parts of the world that are still developing will never have to go through the part of the timeline where they had to like lay phone cable. Like they're going to go straight from having no phones to being able to do like peer-to-peer bank transfer by itself, right? Like that's great. Like, you know, we're going to save you guys a trouble.
Yeah.
But also maybe they're like, fuck you and your cell phones. You know, I'm fine where I am with what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is there's when you look at these different you look at different cultures, the ones that are not up against it, like poverty and that kind of stuff, but just living a smaller life.
Yes.
There's all of these studies of how much happier they are.
Yeah.
Of just not getting into this roaring river of
so stressful. Like roaring river of stressors.
Another Huberman Lab episode that I really enjoyed.
I have to say, just as a side note, it is so great to like, it's almost like I'm rediscovering that whole genre by talking to you, because like to not get it from a bro is so much more like, oh, there's something to this.
Yeah, I mean, oh God, I'm glad
you know what I mean? You don't have veins coming out of your neck, and
right. I'm not like I just shot like steroids into the tip of my dick. I mean, I did, but like, you know, don't worry about it. So I want to look her up, but there's a really amazing. I'm actually googling her while we're talking. There's this amazing like metabolic doctor who talked about the fact that like specifically modern living is just fucking us up on a cellular level, right? Like, and like all the stressors that we're taking in, the chemicals, the microplastics. God, this is like the first act of a horror movie. And so she goes through all this like really complex science about how the body works and how to prevent for metabolism. Sleep is a big one. Sleep is like number one, right? Like if you do nothing else for yourself, for your brain, for your family, for everything, like get 8 hours of solid sleep.
Yeah.
Like that's like the big one. And it's made me I mean, I used to be, and I was proud of it, I used to be very much a dancing on a bar table at 5 a.m. kind of person. On a Tuesday, man, I was like, I got something to prove, y'all. I'm cool.
And I'll be at work at 8.
Exactly. I mean, and then I'd be walking out on my talk show. I slept for 45 minutes. But now I'm so obsessed with sleep. But she does all this really complex, like scientific analysis of the body. And it's great. It's super compelling. She's a highly intelligent woman. And then she just goes, dude, just fucking go outside and take a walk.
Wow.
That she's like, that's it. Like human beings evolved to
right.
be outdoors, to get sunlight, to look at plants.
Yeah.
Like, she's literally like, if you want to fix yourself, just go outside every day and take a walk. Don't stare at your phone.
Do you think that works in the city?
I went and took a walk in the park today, and it does. It boosts your mood. It like you create dopamine, you create serotonin, all these like drugs that are good for you.
I was thinking that this morning on my way to see you. It was like I'm walking in this concrete jungle. There's like maybe one straggly plant breaking through the sidewalk. And I was like, this is still great.
Still great.
This is still great.
Well, we evolved as animals. We walked long distances. So there's something about the pace of the body moving.
Right.
With the amount of data that you take in just naturally with your eyes and your brain at a walking pace. That's like very like equalizing. So, you know, it's nicer to look at plants and trees, but just the act of a human being walking through space and looking. Yeah. Also like apparently distance vision, like taking data in from far away is like a natural way that the human body works.
Right, right.
But we're always staring at something right in front of our face that's like super unnatural.
Yeah.
So like just taking a walk every day.
Right.
And she actually said, if you can walk, even if it's a short walk, twice a day.
Twice a day.
That's like the most healthy thing you can do.
My dogs are going to be so happy to hear that.
Dogs? What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a pug and a black lab.
I love dogs. I hate poop so much. I will never own a dog. I just cannot.
I'm with you.
I can't even, if someone's walking their dog and the dog is pooping, I have to cross the street. It is.
I would say that's healthy.
So fucking intense. Like, and I'm not getting. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I cannot function around a pooping dog. And then the dog wants to make eye contact with you when it's shitting. It's like looking at you in your soul as it's like convulsing. I'm like, nah, bro, never. It's never gonna happen.
I know. If I lived alone, it would not have happened. But I'm in it now.
You got it. You got the family pets.
It's
and dogs are amazing.
Yeah, but it's also it limits your travel.
It limits.
It's a big thing.
Yeah,
it's
you
off.
can't do anything or go anywhere. I mean, it's like it's not like having a baby. Obviously, I don't have kids, or I wouldn't say that. I have no idea how babies work either. If a baby is shitting, I also have to cross the street. What's wrong?
Making eye contact with you.
What is wrong with your human offspring? Take this. Like I love dogs. So I'm one of those people who like ask people, "Can I pet your dog?" I'm like that person. I'm like sitting at a bar drinking. Can I pet your dog? Right. I'm totally that person. But I saw this story the other day. This guy, he was driving late at night. He ran off the road, into a ravine, like full on move, like third act of an action film, like into the air, bottom of a ravine, upside down. He had 3 dogs in the car. 2 of the dogs had broken bones, so they couldn't go anywhere. Third dog ran 4 miles.
Oh, I heard about
this. To
his
brother's campsite. Literally Lassie style, and was like, roof, roof, roof. Pete's in a ravine.
Whoa.
Ran them back. They found the guy.
That's amazing.
Dogs are the best.
I didn't realize he went to a camp.
He ran, it wasn't even his house. He ran to where he had been camping
for like a
to get
night.
His brother.
Oh my God.
Dogs, they're fucking amazing.
That is amazing.
They're
My
so
one
great.
is that way, is like super smart and like.
Then you got a dumb one, right?
And then that
pug.
Oh my God.
Like a sausage with feet.
It really just a rock. Okay, so I was traveling around. I was doing a lot of things. I was on the road going heavy for 2 weeks. When I came home, my family was home, and it's time to cook. And that's fine. I have stuff in the pantry. I'm ready to go. But because I was on the road, I had no bread. I know, my house with no bread. It seems unusual, but it's true. I was on the road. And then I remembered, wait a minute, my good friends at Wild Grain have packed my freezer with stuff. So I went running through there like a little raccoon, and I found breads, croissants, these little crescent rolls, a lot of nice little items. I was like, I just completely calmed down because I knew I'm making pasta. I had these new little pasta shells, and I was going to make sauce with them, but you really need bread. And there was a loaf of bread from Wild Grain in my freezer. It was a 3 or 4 cheese bread, which I was very excited about, a little worried because my wife is off cheese right now. Put it in the oven, frozen, and preheated it to like 400. And in 20 minutes, as I'm making all this stuff, I had a fresh baked loaf of bread, like quality bread, really great bread. This is what you get at Wild Grain. I love the people at Wild Grain. They really, really nailed it. I wish we should partner, actually. You should send my bread to people. We'll figure it out later. But they're such a great, great company. Wild Grain is the first ever bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries. Every item bakes from frozen in 25 minutes or less, no thawing required, which is so nice. And now you can fully customize your Wild Grain box so you can choose any combination of breads, pastas, and pastries. You can even build a box of only breads, only pastas, or pastries if you'd like. Such a great company, such a great solve. I mean, literally, we're going to have breakfast, and we had those little crescent rolls in there. It gives you a peace of mind that you've got real quality stuff, and it fills the house with the same kind of home-cooked smells of that you want to conjure whenever you're baking. Really quality stuff. Please go. And for a limited time, you can get $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/papa to start your subscription. You heard me. Free croissants in every box That's great. And $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/papa. That's wildgrain.com/PAPA, or just use the promo code PAPA, PAPA, at checkout. I can't thank you enough, Wild Grain, for being a part of this program. It is a perfect fit, and I truly like this sponsor. Back to the show. All right, let me shift away from our good health and progressive minds.
Yeah, I love it. I have no idea what your goals were.
Back to our love of drinking.
Oh, drinking. Yeah.
I hear you've got some booze.
Oh, yes. I do.
How did you get into this?
Well, other than my just deep passion for beverages,
good times,
beverages of high alcohol volume. I'll tell you a more esoteric story, which is that it very much comes from stand-up, which is like when I was a touring comic. I just really resented the way that it felt to like go to a new town.
Yeah.
You get in late. You have to get up at the crack of dawn to do radio.
Yeah.
Then you're wrecked, so you go back to sleep. You sleep all day. You wake up. You feel like shit.
Yeah.
You go to the club, you eat chicken wings, and like you have 2 light beers. And then by the time you leave the club, it's too late to have a real meal.
Yeah.
And I used to spend a lot of time like then you're amped. It's 2:00 in the morning, and I would like go to the hotel bar if I got there before it closed, and I would get like a glass of. I got them to give me like an overpoured glass of Sauvignon Blanc and like a red Solo cup full of bar mix. That would be my dinner. I hated it. I hated that.
Oh man.
And so I felt like I'm not experiencing these places, right?
No.
And so I would force myself to like go to a good restaurant. And I'd go by myself because I'd be touring, on my own, and I'd sit up at the bar and I'd have these great meals and I'd have these great conversations with bartenders, and I just loved the feeling of, because it's not really for me about the booze, it's about the experience, right?
Yeah.
And I love bars, and I'd have these great drinks and these great conversations, and I just fell in love with kind of cocktail culture.
Yeah.
And I know everybody thinks like, dumb guy with arm braces and an ironic mustache, but like great bartenders, right?
They're great.
They're fucking amazing.
I know.
They're great conversationalists. They're purveyors of joy. They give you just enough energy to make you feel like you're seen, and not so much that you want to like call security. You know what I mean? And they're the guys that, where should I go later tonight? Well, yeah, they're just great guys.
Yeah.
Bartenders, 90% of them self-select.
Yeah.
Because they love to be around people.
Yeah.
They like to be nice to people and take care of people. And so I just would love those experiences. And then I'd get home and I'd be like, man, that drink was so great. I want to try to make it at home. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, I bartended in college. I had to like look everything up and like it's Mr. Pepper's bartender guide or whatever that thing is called,
It's always sticky when you make it
exactly.
at home. It's always like
shit. You know what I mean? You don't have the right ingredients and you're confused and your hands are sticky and the counter's sticky. You're like, this sucks. So what I started doing is I started batching, similar to your bread experience. Yeah. I started making batches of cocktails so that when I came home late from something, I could just pour a cocktail out without making a big mess. And I am a big fan of quality over quantity, and I just pour myself a Negroni and watch a little bit of Netflix.
So we would batch it with the alcohol in it?
Yeah, I would just get it.
It was just all made.
I would just like mix it up in a big glass bowl and put it in a jar, and it would sit in my fridge.
Right.
And I thought, shit, man, people might want to buy something like this. So, I went through a whole kind of litany of experiences trying to figure out how to do this properly. And then I was doing some research and found out that the margarita is the #1 cocktail, not just in the United States, but probably in the world.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's favorite drink.
Yeah.
And ready to drink margaritas are universally pretty trashy, pretty disgusting. They're kind of like bright green, full of sugar, full of stabilizers, corn syrup, dyes. I mean, they're really, really weird, disgusting stuff. And it just seemed like a really great opportunity to do something special in that space, in that category, to do something real. You know what I mean? Because I remember I was with a girlfriend. We were in Texas. And she's like, I went to the store, and the guy at the store said this was the best ready-to-drink margarita. And I was like, great. And then we opened it. I was like, I want to die. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It tastes like rainwater farted. It was so bad.
Why did you lie to me?
I don't know. Why? Are we even friends? And so I just wanted to, I think like this sounds very kind of crass and calculating, but like, if you're going to go into business, you want to know that you're going to do something that feels original and innovative. Yeah. You don't just want to do the same shit. I mean, a lot of, I don't think of myself this way, but a lot of celebrities are trying to like, everybody wants a tequila because like one guy made a lot of money making a tequila. You know what I mean? Right. But like, what's special about the thing you're doing?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I know there's been a lot of that and I think just to feel good about yourself, you don't want to like be selling something and be waiting for like the reaction that's coming that it's not that great.
Like, why fuck around and do some bullshit, And for me, because I am just such like a nerd, I'm like, no, it's got to be great. I'm going to do something great and super like science-based. So we, and I remember I was talking with now my co-founder, and I was like, I'm never making a margarita. Shelf-stable citrus is disgusting. You can't make it good. It's pasteurized. It tastes like crap. And then it became a math problem. Can we do something great?
Right.
In this space? And I made a lot of them at home by myself, and then we hired this incredible woman who was a PhD in citrus. She has a PhD in lemons.
Yeah.
Lemons, limes, and tangerines.
Amazing.
And we worked on it for 2 years to come up with this organic margarita.
Was that the big puzzle, the big solve?
The big solve was, can we make just like the best iteration of a ready-to-drink margarita that's ever been made?
But I mean, was the citrus the
citrus was the keystone.
That was the thing.
You have to solve for the citrus.
Gotcha.
That's the N. Solve for N was the citrus, and we did, and I can't say it's 100% organic because I think it's like 99.4% organic. But it's organic, 100% blue ever agave tequila. We made our own triple sec using 100% organic blue ever agave tequila, and then there is organic lime. And the difference, many differences between ours and others. The first one is that there's no color in it, so it's clear, which people always go like, wait, what? But it's incredibly flavorful. It just doesn't have any yellow dye or green dye in it. And then the other thing about it is almost every ready-to-drink margarita that you have out there, and I'm not naming any names, so if you feel like I'm talking about you, that's your problem, don't even have tequila in them at all. Or they'll have mostly neutral grain spirit, which is kind of like low-rent vodka.
Yeah.
Or they have malt liquor.
No.
And then they have tequila flavoring in them.
No.
So you think you're drinking a margarita, bro, but that shit's a fugazi.
Really?
It's a fucking fugazi. So
can we go back for a sec? What is triple sec exactly?
Triple sec is orange liqueur.
Okay.
Orange liqueur, which is typically like you steep oranges and sugar in neutral grain spirit, and that's how we made it. We made ours with tequila top, so it's like super top shelf. Yeah. So there's nothing in our margarita but tequila. And it was really fun.
Did it.
And it took 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yes, a very long time to get it right.
The science of food is so. Someone sent me a bread volume. I mean,
like one of those giant. I know that book.
You know that thing?
I used to have that, but there's a baking book like that for cakes.
Insane.
I used to cook them. I don't do that anymore. I pay other people to do it. But I persuade friends to bring me buns. But I know that book. It's massive.
Like you can go so deep, like kind of similar to what we're talking about, like evolving as human beings and all that stuff. The science behind food is,
and that book is kind of a compendium of like all we know about bread, right? And the science of it,
everything, and it's
everything is science. Man.
And literally, I'm cranking out breads, 4 loaves a week when I'm home, and I look at that book and I'm like, would it be better if I had that in my head?
I was gonna say, like, do you envision some version of yourself where you're like, I'm gonna bake my way through this entire bread book? Would you do it? Could you do it?
I don't, I could do it. Yeah, I could do the baking. I could do the iterations of their breads for sure. The 2 volumes of no recipes, just this is the bacteria that is found in this yeast, and this is, what I mean?
Germ.
I don't know. Back to the brain fog. Yes. I don't know how much of it would stick.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting. It's like, let's go back down the rabbit hole. I want to finish the thing I was going to say about the margarita.
What's the name of your?
It's called Losophe. Like philosophy. So Losophe, and you can order it straight to your house you literally go on to losophe.com, and then we will send you margaritas to your home.
So cool.
Which I think is the greatest thing ever. I think that really is the best part of this equation, which is like margaritas to your face.
Yeah.
Like click order.
And when I'm just hanging around the house, I have no spots that night.
Yes.
How many Losophes do I have?
How many Losophe? Well,
am I a 1 Losophe, a 2 Losophe?
It is foolproof. It is almost it's 24% alcohol by volume, which is 50 proof. It is a foolproof margarita.
Okay. It's grown up.
So 2. But 2. It is so delicious.
That's the problem.
You could really house this stuff without trying. Like, it's really tasty. And I say that like not in a like, I'm so awesome. Like we worked really hard
Yeah.
to make sure this shit tastes great. And
Yeah.
it's been really fun because now we're kind of taking it around and we're doing tastings and people
So
are like,
cool.
I don't know. Oh my fucking God. Because
Wow.
it's a different animal.
Is the this is just nerdy marketing stuff, but is it do you want to, or are you trying to just go direct to consumer, or are you trying to go into retail space?
We're going to be in
Like,
stores
yeah.
to start in California, New York, New Jersey.
Cool.
And then hopefully we'll expand. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
year, right now, like the nice thing about direct to consumer is that you can get it almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere you can order alcohol online, you can get it. If you're 21, kid. But then you'll be able to buy it in stores in California, and I think you can already get it. Well, you should be able to already get it in New York and New Jersey in some stores, and we're
Right.
going to be expanding over the next year, and then
So
hopefully,
cool.
yes, and then world domination.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the thing I was going to say, and this is like back to the esoteric, sometimes you think like I'm the only human being that's ever had this experience, and then I think you made a perfect point earlier. No, we've been thinking and staring at our own navels since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Since we were like cracking open other people's heads with a rock. That everything is science, right? Like everything can be viewed, and even science at its most what's the quote? What's the science sufficient? And any science sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. I think it's. I'll think. Come on, internet, you'll tell me in a minute.
Yeah.
But the point is like working this thing out with this. It was this combination of figuring out the right science to do something really clean and delicious and pure, and not trying to trick people with bullshit. Right?
Yeah,
Not trying to like
right.
like we're gonna give you the real shit. It's gonna taste better than the made up shit that they've been using all along.
Yeah.
But just also thinking about the fact that like everything about the body is science, everything about the planet is science, right? You can understand not just the fundamental kind of functional ways that we move through the world with science, but also like your feelings and your relationships.
Yeah.
And everything goes back to like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all of it is like science-based. Like, like friends make your brain make more dopamine. Dopamine makes you happy and feel more connected. When you're happy and connected, you live longer. Like, you know what I mean? Like even the most esoteric parts of our lives are both kind of science-based and can be understood and improved through science.
Yeah. Yeah. Can totally tweak it.
There's going to be a
Tweak
pop
the
quiz at
whole
the end of
thing.
this podcast. Why am I your third grade teacher?
No, it's
I'm
really
just
true.
obsessed with it now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. And especially, I don't know if it's. I think when you grow up, like you said, like when we're starting out, it's like you're at the clubs and you're going crazy and stuff, and then you start to, because of how much energy you have, really, you start to. I notice it with all of my friends at our age, and everybody starts picking. They're not going to waste their capital on garbage.
Yes,
you're
that's
going to be
it.
like, if I'm going to go out to eat, I'm going to do it right. If I'm going to watch a film, it's going to be great. If I'm going,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? You start to become a lot more discerning.
Yeah, like your understanding of, and maybe you're like when you're at the halfway point, and I definitely think that like we're at the halfway point. I don't think we're at the 2/3 point. We're like we got double,
Oh,
we got
yeah.
double numbers coming.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure I get my full run.
Triples.
Yeah, at least that like you start to think about the quality of the time you're gonna spend here.
Yeah.
And like you said, not wasting it on bullshit. And that can either be for me, the understanding of the scarcity of time has improved the quality of my life, right?
Yeah.
Like every minute of every day, am I doing what I want to be doing with the
Right.
people I want to be doing it with?
Yeah.
Sometimes people just fucking get terrified and they fall apart, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you just have a day, you wake up and you're like, oh, I got to do all this
They have
today.
this bullshit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, that might be something that's different about us now versus maybe our parents' generation or the generation prior,
Yeah.
where diminishing time really put them into a funk or made their lives get super small.
Yeah.
I just felt like the older I get, I'm like, yeah, man, tattoos and jumping out of planes and cold plunging. Because I'm
You have
just like,
tattoos?
oh God. So but I got them all.
You got them all
I
recently?
got them all very recently.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Wow. Look at you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah, I love it. I wasn't.
It's kind of addicting, isn't it?
Once you get, I said, I just want one tattoo. I only want this one tattoo, and I got this one tattoo. And as I was getting this tattoo, I was like, okay, my next tattoo is gonna be this. And full disclosure, my mom, she's turning 97.
Whoa.
Not 97, 87. Sorry about that.
Wow.
Mom. Am I? No, I think I actually just gave my mom a decade. I think she's only turning 79. I have dementia. So my mom's turning 79. So she's young and spry.
She was from
97 to 79.
97 to 79.
I was just dyslexia, mom dyslexia.
This is discounting all of our clarity conversation.
Literally, she's like, she's going to disown me. That she has gotten. She's had tattoos most of my life, but she's gotten the bulk of her tattoos in her 60s and 70s.
Wow.
She's got a full sleeve on her left
Really?
side, a half sleeve on her right side.
She's Joe Koy.
She's Joe Koy. She's a painted lady. And I take her to my tattoo place in LA, which is like a very masculine tattoo house. And she's in there with me one day, and the owner of it is an Irish guy, and like a legend, like a tattoo legend.
Wow.
It's called Shamrock Social Club. And my mom, so you drink a Guinness. So he brings you like a Guinness tall boy. So my mom is in there. She's gotten her tattoo. She's drinking her Guinness tall boy. And she's
amazing.
like, I had this other tattoo I wanted to get. So let's get it today. So my mom is in there drinking a tall boy and getting 2 tattoos in one afternoon. And all the Latino guys are there like, man, your mama's fucking loco. Like, they love her.
Why do you think she came to it this late?
She's just like, what am I saving it for?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think when you're younger, you're like, I got to be practical. I got to be, I got to be cool. She worked in corporate America for a while.
Yeah.
She had a hand tattoo when she would do interviews. She would kind of like cover it up. And now she's just like, I'm just rocking and rolling and living my life. And like, I'm going to go into the hole with the toothpaste tube squeezed out. I'm not 1 cent in my pocket, and she's killing it.
That's amazing.
To me, that's the last quarter of my life that I want to have.
Yeah.
Like, tattoos. And I took her to Japan. Last year was like her dream trip, and she lost her husband a while ago to cancer. I said, when you feel ready for it, we'll take this trip. So I took her to Japan. I like splashed out on mom, and it was a great, great experience. And my mom's a jazz singer, and so she's so cute. She brought her jazz CD with her. I was like, she's like, well, I have fans in Japan. Let's see what happens. And so, they have these things called jazz kissa, which are like jazz listening houses. And they love jazz. Every bar you go to Japan, they're playing classic jazz, like Miles Davis vibes, Bird and
amazing.
And Charlie Bird. And they would like play her jazz CD, and we would like drink whiskey.
Really?
And then it'd be like midnight, and mom's like, where are we going now? I'm like, bed, mom. You are going to bed. I'm not going to kill you in Japan.
What was her thing?
What was her drink?
She a singer?
She's an artist. She was a pretty cool lady. She was an activist in the 70s. She was a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She was part of the Freedom Riders, big protester, big organizer, and then she had kids, and kids ruin everything, as everybody who has kids knows.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do lovely things, but they also fuck up all your party plans. So, and then she had an MFA, so she was an art teacher for a while, and then eventually, had to get a real job. So she worked in like corporate insurance for like a corporate lady job.
Yeah.
And then she retired, and now she's and as she got older, she always wanted to be a singer, so she decided to be a jazz singer. So she like performed in clubs, and she recorded 2 CDs.
Whoa.
And, like in her 60s.
Amazing.
She's a badass.
So great.
So, which it's
great.
like the idea that like the later part of your life is diminishing returns is just like a false construct. It's exactly the opposite. I think you just stop giving a shit about what people think.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean? You get way better at everything.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you're like, that's a lie. Old people tell themselves to feel better. But it's true. You just start doing the shit you want to do.
Yeah.
Without constraint.
That is so cool.
Do you feel like your stand-up is different? Like, I mean, it has to be different, but like, do you feel like it's a lot different now than when you were younger?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In what ways? I haven't retired from stand-up, but I haven't done it in a long time.
You haven't? How long?
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh.
Is your schedule at Criminal Minds?
Yeah. I mean, like, I stopped when I started doing, I did a talk show for 7 years, and it was like a daily talk show where I had to be up super early. I was like, I can't be up till 1 and then be at work at 7. Like, it's not going to work. So I was like, I'm just going to take a hiatus.
Yeah.
And then that hiatus just extended. So it's been like 15 years.
It's hard to come back to it.
2007 to now. That's like
wow.
Yeah, like or maybe 2009.
Yeah. But you've always worked, and you've always had like I mean, you've always, and it's cool stuff too.
Oh,
like when you were hosting and doing all that stuff, it was great because it was always you. And then you slide into like Archer, which was such a cool,
such a wonderful experience.
So like you were always like present in this very cool way.
Thank you.
And I know when you get gigs, it's hard to keep.
It's
to be like, I'm going to run down to the comedy store tonight and work on some stuff.
And
There's no way.
I mean, I love stand-up so much, like it's in my bones. So it's definitely not a thing where I felt like I stopped. It was more just like, I'm taking a break. But there's something about it's like being an athlete.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
And if you're not sprinting every day, you get slow.
Yeah.
And people are like, you're gonna come back. I'm like, first of all, you need to have something to talk about. Like I really felt like I needed to, because I wasn't doing it full time and I didn't need to do it full time. I was like, it's like writing another album. Like I gotta have something to say.
Yeah.
But I just and who knows, this is probably gonna come back to bite me in the ass, but I just watched Gerard Carmichael's reality show. And then I hadn't seen Rothaniel, so I went, and I watch almost no stand-up.
Yeah.
When I was a much younger comic, I vowed to not watch stand-up because I didn't want other people's material in my head. I had one experience where I was riffing, and as words were coming out, oh, fuck me, I heard somebody say this already, and I was like, no, that's not mine. And so I just stopped watching stand-up.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody else's shit
it.
in my head. And so I just never watch it. People are like, you're a comedian. I'm like, yeah, I don't fuck with comedy. I don't fuck with comedy at all. But I watched Rothaniel and I was like, oh man, that was so personal. Like that would be a really interesting kind of show to do because it was so emotional and it was so grounded. And it's a great special. You know what I mean? And it's not like a free jokes a minute, but that wasn't the point, you know?
Right, it was a different thing.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of cool thing of where stand-up's at right now. It in a very cool, revealing, successful way, people are just throwing all different pitches.
It's great.
You know, to have something that's really deep and then something really silly and then something really joke-packed.
Right, and it used to be so much more linear, like explosive stadium show. That was what you had to have.
Right,
Big mic drop, call back at the end. Bah!
Yeah, and now people are like Maria Bamford doing a special like in a little room. Yeah, I mean,
or
it's like,
or inside. What's his name? Bo Burnham.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's taken on all these forms, and you're always so smart, and you always have so much on your mind. You could do at any point. You could do something.
It's interesting. First of all, thank you.
You could also just write books. Doesn't always have to be stand up for real. Like
it was kind of that thing of like I don't feel the need to do that exact thing that I was doing before again, but I feel like what's exciting about stand-up, or what excited me about stand-up when I was a baby comic, is that like full disclosure, I always wanted to be like Mark Maron or Tom Rhodes. I wanted to, or
a little deeper.
Yeah, just sitting up there having a conversation where it feels like it's just coming off my head. Or Bill, what's his last name? Not Burr, the other one, the one that died, Hicks. Everybody wanted to be Bill fucking Hicks, all right?
Exactly.
So like, I'm not special. But that thing where it felt like a conversation with him, and then my comedy special is not that. My comedy special is like me screaming and making fart noises. Talking about MySpace like a total fucking chunkhead. But like, to be able to come back to it in a way that felt like an interaction like this rather than, would be really fun to explore.
Yeah.
And your stuff is always so cerebral and direct. I feel like you have this really like intellectual, engaging way of doing material.
Really?
Yeah.
I always feel like it's silly jokes.
But I don't know, but it's silly. But I don't know. Like, there's some guys where it's silly and they're because like they have a toilet seat around their neck.
Right.
I mean, but I feel like
I am trying to
playful and smart. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think like really sophisticated play can be silly, but there's always something like really like interesting underneath it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's nice of you to say. Because I mean, I do try and mine it. I'm not just trying to like look for boop. Yeah, I'm like trying to figure out like where I'm at and where my family's at.
Yeah,
something like that.
You know what I mean? When I used to, no one ever asked me about stand-up anymore. But when I was younger, baby comics would ask. I would always say, being funny is actually not the most important thing.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
Some version of the truth in your way, because that's what people really latch onto. If it's funny, they're like, oh, that was hilarious. But if you really tell if you dig in there and get something good, people are like, you have to see this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Problem is then I don't know if it's a problem, but then you're always digging. You know what I mean?
Like, you are. Yeah,
if you're just trying to make them laugh and just trying to be funny, you can kind of keep going to that and
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like when you tell a story on stage that's really meaningful to you and it's emotional, and then after a while it's just a bit. You know what I mean? It's like
you're
conjuring it up.
your relationship for years, and the other person's devastated. You're like, anyway, farting in bed. What's that about?
How long have you been on Criminal Minds?
This is my, I have to count on my fingers like a 4-year-old. 7,
wow.
15, 16, 7. Yes, 7 years. 7 seasons.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you love it?
I do
having
love
a character for that long that you can actually evolve with?
Yeah, and I think that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Especially on a, kind of on a network show. Like sometimes it doesn't feel like the character's growing. Like they're servicing the brand. But what's been really exciting about this particular show is that it transformed into something new when it moved to streaming, and it's a completely different experience. And, a lot of that is a function of two things. One, the network show was 42 minutes long.
Yeah.
It was very much like a Monster of the Week kind of thing. And now it's a serialized show where we're really like building a mystery over a season.
Right.
And it's just much more languid. And so we get more time to spend with these characters and their backstories and with their interactions with each other. It's not just about like getting the bad guy. It's about what this work does to people's lives.
And it's the same writers? It's the same
showrunners.
So were they craving that, like you think?
Yeah, you just couldn't do it. You just couldn't do it in network television. Like not to beat it up, but it's just like you gotta get to the commercial break. You know what I mean? Exactly. But this is just like the way people consume streaming television is different, the way that they binge it, that they've got time. And we went from 42 minutes to no time limit. You know what I mean? So like, whatever the story is. Yeah. And I directed the show when it was on network TV and I direct it now. And as a director, it's a completely different experience as well. Just, you could never have a moment of silence.
Yeah.
You'd put it in the edit and then it would get lifted out, go.
Yeah.
And now there's just there's a scene that's going to come up this season where with Joe and I, where, it's not a spoiler, but he's going through PTSD because he was kidnapped. David Rossi, Joe Mantegna plays David Rossi, and he was kidnapped the previous season. And my character is a psychiatrist, and we just have a conversation about what he's going through, and it's just so much negative space, that we never could have sold.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's just it's a different experience. Yeah,
is that increasing your want for more directing?
Yeah, I mean, I just the last episode of TV I directed was like my 14th episode of television that I've directed. So, and I've done one movie, very very small independent movie that I directed in 2016.
I remember that.
It's definitely what I want to do with my time going forward, and I don't think I'm gonna stop acting, but I always say that when you're an actor, you're really your job is really to care for yourself and maybe the other people in your scene, right? That's really your job. But when you're a director, you get to care for everybody. Mm-hmm. You get to take care of everyone, both in front and behind the camera. And if you're doing it right, your job is, I think of directors as coaches, not dictators. You're going to assemble a team of people who are very good at their job, and then you're going to work very hard to help them elevate their game.
Right.
Do the best possible work that they can.
Yeah.
And it's a great feeling to come in and say, like, I know what you're capable of. Here's my idea, but bring me something even better, bro. Like, go ham. Right. And because a lot of directors don't work that way. They're like, do exactly what I say and nothing more. But when you can give people like free reign to create, they come alive, and it's just a great experience.
When you're doing an episode of this show, how planned out in your head is it when you go day one on
so
an
much
episode?
So much planning. It's very rapid. It's very accelerated because like you'll get this. Normal television processes, you get the script the day before you start prep. So you've got a day to...
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day, you're having a production meeting where you're going through the script and you're picking out all the produced elements. And then, that 2 weeks, 8 days, typically 8 to 10 days is about finding the locations, hiring the actors, but it's very accelerated.
Yeah.
And, like with especially with hiring actors, like you think you want like months to find the right guy. You got 3 fucking days. 3 days. So if you're an actor and you're like, why did they pick me? We might not even have seen you. My hair is on fire. I had to pee since 8 a.m. We got to pick a guy. So, you're always trying to find ways to do your best work within a really constrained time period. But I do a lot of planning and a lot of thinking and a lot of strategizing. And then you have people whose jobs are to strategize about their part of the work.
Right.
And you're talking to them a lot and they're going away and thinking and bringing it back to you and you're refining and everything. And the last episode that I just did for Criminal Minds, again, I don't want to spoil it, but it was really, really technical. And so there was this thing we had to build from scratch, and it wasn't going to be built by the first day of the episode. So like literally as I'm directing, we're also still prepping for later days in the schedule.
Right.
So they're like, yeah, that's not going to get done till Wednesday. Then we'll have tests between shots. You'll run over here, you look at this test, you'll go away, we'll refine it. You'll come back, look at another test. I mean, you don't eat. You don't do anything. You just I need adult diapers. Like you need to piss yourself and not move. My first like real acting job, I want to say I was in high school, but it might have been like a summer of college.
Yeah.
And it was an Eddie Murphy movie. I'll remember the name in a minute.
Right.
And the director is like another guy whose name is not in my head, but I'll think of it in a minute. Thomas Carter. Oh my God. Thank God I'm not going crazy. Okay, so this guy, and a lovely guy, and a big director back then. Anyway, and we're shooting on location, and it's lunchtime, and I had a question for him, and I go to find him, and he's lying down.
Right.
And I'm like, man, this director is so fucking lazy. Who takes a nap in the middle of the day? I mean, literally, I want this guy to find me and just punch me in the face. Right. Or even thinking that, because you are so tired and you have to cross, like literally all day directing is 10% creative thought and 90% people going, do you want the brown belt or the slightly thinner brown belt? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so many questions.
Fielding questions.
Insane. And so you're just trying to create space in there for creativity,
right?
And for play. But I love it because when it goes well, it's just exhilarating, right?
It's very cool.
So good. So that's all I want to do.
It makes acting seem pretty easy when you just show up. You're not directing.
God. Oh yeah.
You just have to do a couple scenes
there,
and be like,
fuck off. I'm going to Crafty.
In my trailer.
Exactly. I'm gonna go get a donut. I like people are like, do you have a hard time when you're acting? I'm like, dude, I don't want no part of that shit when I'm acting. I'm gonna go sit in my chair and look at Instagram, and look at reels. But I do like to support directors too when I'm acting. I try to. It changed me as an actor when I started directing because I stopped being frustrated with when things took too long, and I show up early and I have my shit together and I'm not resentful. I'm like, I did a movie with Jay Chandrasekhar, who I love, and from oh God, why can I never remember anything right when I need it? It always comes like 3 seconds later.
You didn't cold punch today.
Yeah,
if you would cold punch
I
this
would
morning,
know.
you're on the road.
Lizard, the Lizard improv guys that did Super Troopers.
Yeah,
Jay Chandrasekhar. Anyway, so and. What's it?
Broken
Lizard. Thank you. See, it's like it's coming in pieces. If I had cold punch today, I would have solved for space travel. So and it was like just this long day on this movie, and he was like, "I'm so sorry today is taking so long," and I was like, "Man, I'm just here to make your dreams come true. Take your time." Like that's what happened when I started directing.
That's what you want to hear, right?
Yeah, I'm just here to make your dreams come true, man. Like do your thing. I'm gonna go sit in my trailer. I promise not to do drugs until closer to the end of the day, and I got you. Because it's hard. It's this
a
job,
lot.
we're not down a hole digging up coal.
Mm-hmm. No, but it's a lot.
It's we're very lucky. I feel very lucky to be where I am in my career.
Sure.
To continue to be working in the way that I am.
Yeah.
And then on a personal level, and I imagine you feel this way, to continue to be able to be innovating.
Yeah.
Like personally,
growing
still growing.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's magic. Like it's a magic trick that we're still here. It's like staring at each other across this strangely shaped table. Do you know what I mean? Like
we're working.
We're working. We're working right now. This minute we're working. And so and I know how, like, no matter how it appears on the outside, like, when we're doing this or when you're on stage, when you're acting, that, like, the interior kind of turmoil of, like, get up, keep fighting, it's its own battle. Mm-hmm. So when someone's coming to work and they're freaked the fuck out, I'm like, it's whatever you got to do, man.
Yeah.
Just take it easy. Take your time. It's all good.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah.
We're going to die soon. Nobody shit your pants. It's going to be all right. We're going to be dead.
Just fine.
So there's no reason to freak the fuck out now. There's deviled eggs at Crafty. You know where I'll be.
Well, this was so great.
Oh, what
I'm glad
joy.
we got to spend some time for real.
This
I know.
was so fun.
And I was saying that to my wife this morning, Cynthia. Do you remember Cynthia Corey? She says hello. And I was just so happy, like, because if we just ran into each other at the club, it'd be like a real quick thing. But we actually sit down and talk.
Podcasts.
Great.
I know we're wrapping up, but let's just spend 5 minutes talking about podcasts.
All right, let's.
Do you remember your first, like the first time you heard about like what a podcast was?
Oh yeah, and I was like, well, that's not going to last.
That's so dumb.
That's so stupid.
What the fuck is a podcast? Like I remember thinking that so intensely. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard
I'm on radio, so
I'm doing real media,
that's
guys.
cute, guys.
I'm gonna go over here where this guy's gonna push a button and make a fart noise come out.
For real, I really was like,
right? It was so dumb.
It's so dumb.
And then I had one, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And the feeling that that's not a word. The feeling that I had that I remember, and that's what made me think of it when you're just saying that was like getting to have uninterrupted one-on-one time with someone who you like and respect. That you sometimes don't get to have this kind of a conversation with your close friends.
No, you get to ask deeper questions.
Yeah. Just look somebody in the face and like hear about their life. Like you don't do that with your family and friends mostly.
No,
You're like, what are we gonna eat? The kids are making noise. The dog just take a shit on the carpet. Bye bye.
Yeah.
I did 220 episodes of that show, and I felt like every single conversation transformed me in some way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was really, really lovely.
Yeah.
And,
no, they're great. And it's kind of that opposite thing of, you go on a TV show and it's like, it's fun and it's big and it's splashy.
Yeah.
But it's just so short.
Yeah.
You got to just get all those things out.
Yeah.
And
We produced the segment. Say the thing you said on the phone. Tell the jokes. Go, go, go. Yeah.
It seems like those shows now are these big behemoths just to create content that we can all watch on our phones later.
In 60-second increments.
Isn't it insane?
Yeah. But this kind of intimacy and like, even, the podcasts that I enjoy that aren't like comedy driven, I feel like it's so rich. It's probably like the new book. Sorry, book people. I still read, but you know what I mean? Like this way of like immersing yourself in something that is slower and more intentional than,
No, you feel like depending on what you're digesting, you feel like you got something from it.
Like you learn something.
Yeah.
And it's
okay. So wait. So let's go back to the one question I had before, and we kind of went through the.
Oh, I'm excited.
What is the one sleep?
Oh, the sleep
thing?
The sleep hack. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you 3 actually because I feel like they're in conjunction.
Okay.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so go to bed at around the same time every day.
Okay.
Which is hard to do,
Hard
but
on the road,
once you shift, hard on the road, but when you're home,
Okay.
And nested in that is like this is a big shift, I think, for anybody who's like a workaholic or driven or ambitious, but you really have to prioritize sleep as like an aspect of work. Like you will be better at your job if you are getting 8 hours of quality sleep.
Right.
Whereas before I was like, sleep is fucking up my plans.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't sleep. I got to do shit.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, like this is an aspect of my day. And if I can get, 8 hours of quality sleep. The second thing I've been doing that I love, and I learned this on cameraman, is to get. He talks a lot about morning light, but this is even more interesting. That apparently, like the long wave, low level evening light is the thing that tells your body it's time to go to bed. So, like, if you can get outside when the sun is setting, that light is like, go to bed, baby. And it also puts you in a great mood.
Yeah,
that's my favorite time of day. It's
I know,
also
me
why
too.
I love
the sky.
Yeah,
it's just
So if I can, I get outside, even if I just walk around the block. And just get a little bit of that. And then the third one, and this is one that I got from the sleep guide, from this 42 part series sleep guide episodes,
70 hours of sleep,
was to get all the lights down in the house. Right. That like, apparently they just put out a study that like the whole fear of screens is like a little overblown. Like, certain people react to blue light more than others. So like if you like to watch TV before bed and it's not keeping you awake, like watch it. And I love to watch TV at night. But if you can get the lighting in your house, like vibes,
right?
You know what I mean? Vibe time lighting is what you need.
Yeah,
that it'll help you.
Right.
So those are my 3 things. Also,
good.
The
all
most
light.
They're all light based. The body's a computer, body's a machine. It interprets incoming data and says, "Oh, it's time to wake up, time to go to sleep." And so you got to turn the lights to evening light, and then evening light will tell your body like sleepy time, and then you start to eat these chemicals that tell you to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then also, and this is the one that's deeply disappointing.
Oh no.
Alcohol is just a fucking problem.
I keep seeing
just a
this,
fucking
and I don't like it.
I don't like it, and I'm ignoring it, but apparently it's bad for sleep patterns, bad for your body, bad for your brain. You know what it's good for? A good fucking time, whores. It's good for a good time.
I really feel like you got to pick your days.
Yeah.
And it's like you just don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
when
not
you do it,
every day.
again, like picking
just
your moments.
Quality over volume.
No, but I feel it. Like if the difference now between one drink and no drink is pretty...
I have mastered, apparently, because my liver is just got a nice tough skin of leather around it at this point, is that one drink's fine, but any more than two is a problem, right? So like if I'm gonna go out, I'm like I can do two, and then after two, I'm throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah, then your sleep's gonna be messed up.
Yeah, and you know
for a couple days.
You feel fine. You go to bed, and then in the middle of the night, 2:00, you wake up in a flop sweat, and you're like, I did it to myself.
Yeah,
I did it to myself. So
yeah,
everything in moderation.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, this was a joy.
Enjoy the rest of your time in New York City.
Thank you.
I'm not going to ask for an update on the Cinnabon. You just do whatever you got to do.
I'm going to take the bun with me.
Whatever you got to do.
And I'm gonna care for her like she was my own baby. And thank you for that. And then I am going to come to you for some sourdough instructions when I'm in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Will you give me
I will just give you. I'll give you starter. I'll give you bread.
Oh my God.
I will. Let's find each other in LA.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
All right.
Yay, thank you.
You got it, Mikey.